The rain hadn't let up all morning. It drummed against the pavement like 1,000 tiny fingers tapping impatiently, turning sidewalks into shallow rivers and bus stops into soggy waiting rooms. Under a faded blue umbrella that was 2 sizes too big for her, a small girl stood outside the tallest building in the downtown district. She shifted her weight from one foot to the other, her school shoes already soaked through, her socks squishing with every tiny step. In her hands, she held a piece of paper, folded, unfolded, then folded again. Its edges soft from being touched too many times. She wasn't supposed to be here. This was a place for grown-ups in sharp suits and clicking heels. For people who carried briefcases and spoke in voices that sounded like they knew exactly what they were doing. Not for an 8-year-old in a slightly too big sweater and rain boots that squeaked when she walked. But she had made a promise, and promises mattered, especially when your mom was the one who taught you that. Her mom had woken up before sunrise, coughing so hard the whole bed shook. Her face was pale, her eyes glassy, and when she tried to sit up, she swayed like a tree in a storm. "I can't go," she'd whispered, voice rough like sandpaper. "But I have to. It's the interview. If I miss it, they'll give the job to someone else." She'd looked at her daughter, eyes full of worry and something else. Hope, maybe. "If I can't make it, you go instead. Just tell them I'm sick, but I'll be back soon. Tell them I work hard. Tell them I deserve this." The girl had nodded, even though her stomach twisted into knots. She didn't know what to say to important people. She barely knew how to order her own lunch in the cafeteria without stumbling over her words. But if it meant helping her mom, she'd try. So after helping her mom sip warm tea and tucking the blankets tight around her shoulders, she'd grabbed the printed application from the kitchen counter, slipped on her raincoat, and walked the 17 blocks to Sterling Innovations, all by herself. She'd counted each block in her head to keep from getting scared. 1, 2, 3. Past the bakery with the cinnamon smell. Past the bus stop where Mr. Ruiz always waved. Past the park where the swings were empty in the rain. Now, standing in front of the building's glass doors, she felt very small. The lobby inside looked like something from a movie. Shiny floors, tall plants, people moving fast with purpose. She took a deep breath, pushed the heavy door open, and stepped inside. The warmth hit her first, then the quiet. Outside was rain and noise. Inside was hushed voices and soft footsteps. She looked around, heart pounding. A woman behind a tall desk glanced up, eyebrows lifting slightly. "Can I help you?" the woman asked, voice polite but distant, like she was already thinking about the next thing on her list. The girl swallowed. I'm here for my mom's job interview." The receptionist blinked. "Your mom's?" "Yes, she's sick. Really sick. But she really wanted this job. So I came instead." She held out the crumpled paper like it was a shield. The woman's expression softened just a little, but not enough. "Honey, this is a corporate office. Interviews are for adults. You can't just show up like this." "I know," the girl said quickly, but she couldn't come. And she's been working here for 12 years, cleaning, every night. She never misses a day, not once. Until today. Her voice cracked, but she kept going. She even helps at the community center on Saturdays. She's really good with people. That's why she wants the customer service job. She said it would mean we could stop eating cereal for dinner sometimes. The receptionist looked uncomfortable. She glanced toward the elevators, then back at the girl. "I'm sorry, sweetie, but I can't let you stay. Maybe you should go home." The girl's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back hard. Crying wouldn't help. She'd promised to be brave. Just then, the elevator dinged. The doors slid open and a man stepped out. He was tall, wearing a dark suit that probably cost more than her mom made in a month. His hair was neatly combed, his shoes polished to a shine. He carried a tablet under one arm and spoke into a small earpiece, voice calm but firm. "Yes, move the Tokyo call to 3, and send the revised projections to my inbox before lunch." He walked briskly toward the exit, eyes focused straight ahead, until he saw her. He stopped. Not because she was in his way, but because something about the sight of a small child, soaked at the edges, standing alone in the middle of his gleaming lobby, holding a wrinkled piece of paper like it was the most important thing in the world. It made him pause. He glanced at the receptionist, who gave a helpless shrug. "She says she's here for her mother's interview. Mom's sick." The man turned to the girl. Up close, his eyes weren't as sharp as they looked from afar. They were tired maybe, but kind underneath. "What's your name?" he asked, crouching down just enough so he wasn't towering over her. She hesitated. "Lily." "Lily," he repeated, as if testing the name. "And your mom works here?" "She cleans the 7th floor. And sometimes the executive wing. She says you have the nicest trash cans." Lily bit her lip, realizing that sounded silly, but the man didn't laugh. Instead, a small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "She's not wrong. We do have very nice trash cans." Lily relaxed just a little. "Why did she want the customer service job?" he asked gently. "Because she talks to people good," Lily said. "And she wants to sit during the day instead of walking all night. Her feet hurt a lot. Also, we could get health insurance that covers medicine. Right now, she uses the free clinic, but the line is really long." The man was quiet for a moment. Behind him, someone called his name. "Mr. Sterling, the board's waiting." But he didn't turn around. "You came all the way here by yourself?" he asked. 17 blocks, she said proudly. "In the rain." He looked at her soaked shoes, her damp sleeves, the way she held her shoulders like she was trying to make herself smaller. Then he looked at the paper in her hand. "Do you know what your mom was going to say in her interview?" Lily nodded. "She practiced last night, while I did my math homework." "Would you tell me what she would have said?" Lily took a breath. "She would have said she's reliable. That she shows up early and stays late if needed. That she speaks English and Spanish so she can help more customers. That she's honest. Once she found a wallet with $500 in it and gave it right back. And that she really wants to grow with the company. Not just clean floors, but be part of it." The man, Mr. Sterling, was silent for a long moment. Rain tapped against the windows behind them. The lobby hummed with quiet energy, but around them it felt still. Then he stood up slowly and turned to the receptionist. "Cancel my 9:30. Reschedule the board prep for this afternoon." The receptionist's eyes widened. "Sir, that's the quarterly strategy session." "I know what it is," he said, but not unkindly. Then he looked back at Lily. "Come with me." He led her not to the grand conference rooms with glass walls and fancy chairs, but to a small meeting space near the break room, cozy, with a round table and mismatched mugs on a side shelf. He pulled out a chair for her. "Sit, you must be tired." Lily sat, her feet barely touching the floor. She placed the paper carefully on the table. Mr. Sterling sat across from her. "Tell me more about your mom." And so she did. She told him how her mom sang old songs while she mopped the halls, how she saved bottle caps to make art with kids at the community center, how she stayed up late helping neighbors fill out job applications even when she was exhausted. She told him about the nights they ate peanut butter sandwiches because the paycheck ran out too soon, and how her mom always made it feel like a treat anyway. As she spoke, Mr. Sterling listened, not like someone waiting for their turn to talk, but like every word mattered. He didn't check his phone once. Outside, the rain began to ease. A sliver of sunlight broke through the clouds, casting a soft glow across the table. Lily didn't know it yet, but that morning, wet shoes, shaky voice and all, would change more than just her mom's job. It would change everything, but for now she was just a little girl who kept a promise, and sometimes that's enough to start something big. The small conference room felt quiet, like the whole building was holding its breath. Lily sat at the table, her hands folded neatly in front of her, trying not to fidget. The man across from her, Mr. Sterling, hadn't said much since they sat down, but he hadn't looked away either. His eyes were steady, thoughtful, like he was really seeing her, not just the little girl in wet shoes. "So," he finally said, voice softer now, "your mom sings while she works?" Lily nodded. "Yeah, old songs, from when she was a kid. Sometimes it's sad songs, but she says singing makes the floors shine brighter." He smiled, just a little. "I think I've heard her." "Late at night, when I'm working late." A soft voice down the hall. "I always assumed it was the cleaning crew's radio." "It's just her," Lily said proudly. "She says music keeps her company." Mr. Sterling leaned back slightly, his fingers tapping once on the table. "And she's never missed a shift in 12 years?" "Never. Not even when I had the flu last winter. She dropped me at Aunt Rosa's, well, not really my aunt, just our neighbor, and came straight here. She said this job is our anchor." "Anchor," he repeated as if tasting the word. "That's a strong word for an 8-year-old. "I read it in a book," Lily admitted. "But Mom says it too. She says as long as we have this job, we won't drift away." He was quiet again. Outside, the rain had almost stopped. A few birds chirped from a nearby tree, tentative, like they weren't sure the storm was really over. Then he asked, "What would your mom say if she were sitting here right now, trying to convince me to give her the customer service role?" Lily took a deep breath. She closed her eyes for just a second, picturing her mom at the kitchen table the night before, practicing in front of the toaster like it was a mirror. She'd say, "I may not have a college degree, but I know how to listen. I've spent years listening, to the hum of the vacuum, to the quiet of empty offices at night, to people who think no one's paying attention. And I've learned that everyone has a story, even the grumpy guy on the 9th floor who leaves coffee cups everywhere." "His wife's sick." "I know because I saw him crying in the stairwell once. I didn't say anything, just cleaned around him quietly." Mr. Sterling's expression changed. Not dramatically, but enough that Lily noticed. His shoulders relaxed like something heavy had shifted inside him. She'd also say, Lily continued, opening her eyes, that she's patient, that she doesn't get mad when people are rude, because she knows everyone's fighting something you can't see. He nodded slowly. "That's true." And she'd say she wants to learn. She's been watching the customer service team through the glass walls. She says they're kind, even when customers yell. She wants to be like that. Mr. Sterling reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small notebook. Not a fancy one, just a plain black one with dog-eared corners. He flipped it open and wrote something down. Lily couldn't read it from across the table, but she saw the pen move quickly, like he was capturing something important before it slipped away. Just then, the door cracked open. A woman in a crisp blazer peeked in, eyes wide. "Mr. Sterling, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but the board is getting restless. They're asking if the meeting's been moved or canceled." He didn't look up right away. "Tell them it's been rescheduled. And send a note to HR, pull Rosa Martinez's file. Full employment history, performance reviews, everything." The woman blinked. "Rosa, the night cleaner?" "Yes, but she's applying for the level 1 customer service position? That's usually for internal transfers with at least 2 years in admin roles." "I'm aware," he said calmly. "Just get the file." The woman hesitated, then nodded and closed the door softly. Lily watched all this, her stomach fluttering. "Does this mean she still has a chance?" Mr. Sterling looked at her directly. "More than a chance, Lily. She's earned a real shot." He paused, then added, "You know, when I was about your age, my mom worked 3 jobs. One was cleaning offices at night, just like yours. She'd come home with her hands red from bleach, her back sore, but she'd still make pancakes on Sunday mornings like it was nothing. I used to hide in the hallway and listen to her hum while she scrubbed the kitchen floor." "Same thing, old songs." Lily's eyes widened. "Really? Really?" And one day her boss saw her helping a lost delivery guy find the right suite. She didn't have to. She was off the clock. But she did it anyway. That boss later gave her a chance in the mailroom. It wasn't much, but it was a start. She worked her way up to assistant manager before she got sick. "Did she get better?" Lily asked softly. He looked down at his hands. "No, but she got to sit at a desk for the last 2 years of her life. No more mopping, no more lifting heavy bins, just dignity." He looked back at Lily. "That's what your mom deserves too. Not just a job, dignity." Lily didn't know what to say, so she just nodded. Then Mr. Sterling stood up. "Wait here for 1 minute." He left the room, walking quickly but not rushing. Lily heard murmuring in the hallway, then the sound of a phone being dialed. She sat very still, afraid that if she moved, this whole thing might vanish like a dream. A few minutes later, he returned with a steaming cup of hot chocolate and a wrapped granola bar. "You must be hungry," he said, placing them in front of her. "And cold." She hadn't realized how hungry she was until the smell hit her. "Thank you," she whispered. He sat back down. "While you eat, I want to ask you something. If your mom gets this job, really gets it, with better pay, daytime hours, health benefits, what would change for you two?" Lily thought about it as she sipped the hot chocolate. It was rich and sweet, with tiny marshmallows that melted on her tongue. "We could go to the doctor when we're sick," she said slowly. "Not just when it's an emergency, and maybe I could join the after-school art club. It costs $20 a month. Mom said maybe next year, but I know she's just being nice." Mr. Sterling listened, his expression unreadable but kind. "And," Lily added, looking down at her cup, "she wouldn't cough so much at night. Right now she tries to muffle it with a pillow so I can sleep. But I hear her." He didn't say anything for a long moment. Then he reached into his pocket again, Not for the notebook this time, but for his phone. He tapped the screen a few times, then held it to his ear. "Hi, it's me. Can you pull up the Employee Assistance Program guidelines?" "Yes, the full package. Emergency medical support, childcare subsidies, career transition paths." "Good. And check if Rosa Martinez qualifies retroactively for sick leave under the new wellness policy." "Yes, even if it's not official yet. We'll make it official." He listened, nodding. "Also, find out who's running the customer service training next month. I want her enrolled, conditionally pending interview, but treat her as accepted. And send a wellness check to her address today. Nurse visit, groceries, whatever she needs." He ended the call and looked at Lily. "Your mom's going to get help. Starting today?" Tears welled up in Lily's eyes, but she wiped them quickly with her sleeve. "She's going to be so surprised." "I hope so," he said gently. "But this isn't just about surprise. It's about fairness. People like your mom, they're the backbone of this place. We just forget to look down and see them." Just then, the door opened again. This time it was a man in a security uniform. "Sir, everything okay? We had a situation reported at the front desk." Mr. Sterling stood. "Everything's fine, Carl. In fact, it's better than fine." He turned to Lily. "You did something really brave today. Braver than most adults I know." Lily looked up at him, hot chocolate still warm in her hands. "I just wanted to help." "Sometimes," he said, "helping is the most powerful thing you can do." He walked her back to the lobby. The receptionist watched them approach, her expression a mix of confusion and awe. Mr. Sterling stopped near the front doors. "I'm going to send a car to take you home," he said, "and someone will be checking on your mom later today. A nurse. She'll bring medicine and food." Lily nodded. "Can I tell Mom what happened?" "You can tell her everything," he said. "But maybe leave out the part where I canceled a board meeting for hot chocolate and a conversation." She almost smiled. As the car pulled up, a plain sedan, not a fancy limo, Mr. Sterling crouched down one last time. "One more thing. Your mom's interview. It's still happening. Just not today. When she's well, she'll come in and we'll talk properly. But I already know what I need to know." "What's that?" Lily asked. "That she raised someone who cares enough to walk 17 blocks in the rain, just to speak for her." He stood, straightened his tie, and gave a small nod. "Go take care of her, Lily, and thank you." She climbed into the car, clutching the empty hot chocolate cup like a trophy. As they drove away, she looked back at the tall glass building. It didn't seem so cold anymore. Inside, Mr. Sterling walked back toward his office. People watched him pass, whispering, curious. But he didn't care. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like just a CEO. He felt like someone who'd remembered what really mattered. And somewhere, in a small apartment with thin walls and a coughing mother, hope was starting to bloom. Not because of money or power, but because a little girl showed up. And someone chose to listen. By the time the car dropped Lily off at her apartment building, the sky had cleared completely. Sunlight glinted off puddles in the street, turning them into little mirrors of blue sky. She ran up the 3 flights of stairs, her wet shoes squeaking all the way, and burst through the front door calling, "Mom! Mom, I did it!" Her mom was still in bed, wrapped in layers of blankets, but she sat up quickly when she heard Lily's voice. Her face was still pale, but her eyes lit up. "You went? Oh, baby, you really went?" Lily nodded, breathless. She dropped her backpack and rushed to the bed, spilling out everything that happened: the receptionist, the man in the suit, the hot chocolate, the promise of a nurse coming, the interview being saved. Her words tumbled over each other in excitement. Her mom listened, tears welling in her eyes. "You walked in there, all by yourself? And they listened?" "Mr. Sterling did," Lily said. "He said you're the backbone of the place." Her mom covered her face with her hands and let out a soft sob. Happy, relieved, overwhelmed. "I can't believe it," she whispered. "All these years, I just kept my head down, did my work, never asked for anything. And today, my little girl walks in and changes everything." Later that afternoon, just as promised, a woman in a light blue uniform arrived with a medical bag, groceries, and a warm smile. She checked her mom's temperature, listened to her lungs, and left antibiotics, cough syrup, and instructions to rest for at least 5 full days. "Paid leave," she said gently. "Your employer approved it retroactively. Don't worry about work." Her mom could barely speak. She just kept saying thank you over and over, like the words weren't enough but were all she had. Meanwhile, back at the office tower, Things were anything but quiet. News traveled fast in big buildings. By lunchtime, almost everyone had heard. The CEO had canceled a major board meeting to talk to a little girl in rain boots. Some people rolled their eyes. "Publicity stunt," one manager muttered over coffee. "He's probably filming a feel-good ad." But others weren't so sure. In the break room, two janitors sat together stirring their tea. "You know Rosa?" one asked. "She's one of us. 12 years, never complained, and now, maybe things really can change." Down in HR, a young coordinator named Priya pulled up Rosa's file for the third time. She'd been with the company since 2011. Perfect attendance, 0 write-ups, positive notes from building supervisors, always cheerful, goes the extra mile. Noticed she organized the supply closet without being asked. Yet in all that time, no one had ever flagged her for advancement. No training invites. No internal job alerts, nothing. Priya felt a knot form in her stomach. She'd been so focused on processing resumes from outside applicants, she'd never once looked at the people already keeping the lights on after hours. She walked into her manager's office. "We need to talk about our internal mobility policy," she said. "It's not working for the people who've been here the longest." At the same time, Mr. Sterling sat alone in his office, staring out the window. The city stretched below him, cars, people, lives moving in every direction. He thought about his own mother again, how she'd come home exhausted, how she'd hidden her pain so he wouldn't worry, how no one had ever asked if she wanted something more. He picked up his phone and called his head of operations. "Gather the leadership team. Not for a strategy session, for a listening session. Invite representatives from every department, including facilities, security, and custodial. I want to hear from the people we never put on the org chart." That evening, as Lily helped her mom sip broth and fluff her pillows, a different kind of shift was happening downtown. In a conference room usually reserved for budget reviews, chairs were arranged in a circle. No head of the table, no PowerPoint slides, just people, some in suits, some in uniforms, all a little nervous. Mr. Sterling walked in last. He didn't sit in the power seat. He took a chair near the back. "I'm not here to talk," he said simply. "I'm here to listen." And for the first time in the company's history, the night crew had a voice. One by one, they spoke. A security guard talked about how hard it was to afford childcare on his salary. A cafeteria worker shared how she'd stopped reporting a broken oven because no one ever came to fix things in the kitchen. A cleaner, Rosa's friend, said, "We see everything. The late-night stress, the forgotten lunches, the tears in empty hallways. But no one sees us." Mr. Sterling took notes, not on his tablet, on that same small black notebook. Later that night, long after the meeting ended, he sat at his desk and wrote an email. Not to investors, not to the board. To every employee. It was short. "Today, a child reminded me what this company is really built on. The quiet dedication of people who show up, day after day, even when no one notices. Starting next week, we're launching a new program, support for our frontline workers, including emergency paid leave, childcare assistance, and clear paths to grow within the company. Because talent isn't just in resumes. Sometimes it's in the person who mops your floor at 2 a.m. and still finds the strength to sing while she works." He hit send. Within minutes, replies started flooding in, not from executives, but from people in the mailroom, the loading dock, the night shift. "Thank you. This means everything. I've worked here 15 years. First time I feel seen." Back in the apartment, Lily's mom finally slept through the night without coughing. Lily lay in her own bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about the tall building, the kind man, and the way her mom's face had changed when she heard the news. She didn't know it yet, but her simple act of walking through those glass doors had opened a door for hundreds of others too. And the next morning, when the sun rose bright and warm, something new was already growing, not just in their small apartment, but in the heart of a company that had finally remembered its humanity. 2 weeks had passed since that rainy morning, and the world felt different, not in a loud, flashy way, but in the quiet shifts that matter most. The cough that used to rattle through the apartment at night was gone. The medicine bottles on the kitchen counter were nearly empty, and for the first time in a long time, there was fresh fruit in the bowl on the table. Apples, oranges, even a small bunch of grapes that Lily had never dared ask for before. Her mom was getting better. Not just her body, but her spirit too. She moved with more energy, smiled more easily, and sometimes, when she thought Lily wasn't looking, she'd stand by the window and just breathe, like she was savoring the fact that she didn't have to rush off to work in the dark. Then came the call. It was a Tuesday morning. Lily was doing her homework at the kitchen table while her mom washed dishes. The phone rang, a real ring, not the buzz of a text, and her mom dried her hands quickly before answering. Hello? Yes, this is she. Her voice went soft, then surprised. Oh, I see. Yes, of course. Thank you. She hung up slowly, staring at the phone like it might ring again. What is it? Lily asked, pencil hovering over her math worksheet. Her mom turned, eyes wide. They want me to come in? For the interview? Today, at 2. Lily jumped up. Today, but are you ready? I've been ready for 12 years, her mom said. But she was already opening the closet, pulling out the one outfit she kept for special occasions. A navy blouse, slightly wrinkled from being folded too long, and black slacks that still fit, though they'd been bought on clearance 3 winters ago. Lily helped her iron the blouse, carefully, so the steam didn't burn her fingers. She found her mom's only pair of low-heeled shoes and polished them with an old sock until they shone. She even braided her mom's hair the way she liked it, neat but not too tight. You look like someone important, Lily said, stepping back to admire her. Her mom laughed, a real laugh, deep and warm. I feel like someone important. At 1 o'clock, they left the apartment together. No rain this time, just clear skies and a breeze that carried the smell of blooming trees. They took the bus sitting side by side, not saying much but holding hands the whole way. When they arrived at the building, Lily expected the same cold lobby, the same distant receptionist. But things had changed. The moment they walked in, the receptionist, same woman from that rainy day, stood up and smiled. Rosa, we've been waiting for you. Mr. Sterling asked that you be brought straight to conference room B when you arrive. No questions, no hesitation, just respect. An assistant appeared almost immediately and led them down the hall. But instead of dropping them off and walking away, she turned to Lily and said, You're welcome to wait in the family lounge. We just set it up last week. There's books, snacks, even a little art corner. Lily looked at her mom, who nodded. Go ahead, sweetheart. I'll be fine. So Lily followed the assistant to a cozy room near the HR wing. Soft couches, warm lighting, shelves filled with books and board games. On one wall hung a small sign, For the families who keep our team going. She picked up a sketch pad and started drawing, her mom in a new uniform, standing tall, smiling at a customer. Meanwhile, in conference room B, her mom sat across from 3 people, Mr. Sterling, the head of customer service, and the HR coordinator, who'd pulled her file. But this wasn't like other interviews. Tell us about a time you solved a problem without being asked, the customer service lead said gently. Her mom didn't recite a rehearsed answer. She told a real story. Last winter, the elevator on the east wing kept getting stuck between floors. People were frustrated, missed meetings, late pickups. Maintenance said it would take weeks to fix. So I started leaving handwritten notes on each floor. Elevator delayed. Please use West Bank. Thank you for your patience. I even drew little smiley faces. Complaints dropped by half in 2 days. Mr. Sterling leaned forward. You turned a problem into a moment of kindness. I just didn't want people to feel forgotten, she said simply. They asked about handling difficult situations, about teamwork, about why she wanted this role, and every time she answered not with buzzwords, but with truth, about listening, about showing up, about believing that every person, no matter their title, deserves to be treated like they matter. Halfway through, Mr. Sterling excused himself for a moment. When he returned, he carried a folder. He placed it on the table. This is your new onboarding packet, he said. Her mom blinked. But I haven't even finished the interview. You've been doing this interview for 12 years, he said. Every night you showed up. Every time you went the extra mile. Today was just the paperwork. He opened the folder. Inside was a letter, a benefits summary, and a schedule. You start Monday. Day shift. Full benefits, including vision and dental. And you'll be enrolled in our new frontline advancement track. 6 months of training, mentorship, and a clear path to senior roles. Her hands trembled as she touched the papers. I don't know what to say. Say yes. He smiled. She did. Afterward, as she walked out of the conference room, tears in her eyes, Lily came running down the hall, sketchpad in hand. Did you get it? Her mom knelt and hugged her tight. I did, and it's because of you. That evening, they celebrated with takeout pizza, the kind with extra cheese, and watched an old movie curled up on the couch. No talk of bills, no worry about the next shift. Just laughter, warmth, and the quiet joy of a door finally opening. But the story didn't end there. Over the next few weeks, something remarkable began to unfold across the company. The Rosa program, as people started calling it, not officially, but in hushed, hopeful voices, rolled out in phases. First, emergency paid leave became available to all frontline staff. Then came the childcare stipend, $200 a month for employees earning under a certain threshold. Next, a new internal job board was launched, with filters so custodial, security, and cafeteria staff could see opportunities they'd never known existed. But the biggest change was cultural. Managers started walking the floors, not just to inspect, but to talk. Executives joined monthly shadow shifts, spending an evening cleaning offices or restocking the kitchen, just to understand the work. One vice president was seen helping a janitor carry heavy trash bags down to the loading dock, and not for a photo op, but because he saw someone struggling and stepped in. In the break room, conversations changed. Instead of, "Did you hear about the layoffs?" it became, "Did you hear Maria got promoted to inventory lead?" Or "Carlos is taking night classes, company's paying for it." Even the building felt different. The once sterile hallways now had small bulletin boards where employees could post thank you notes. Someone had started a kindness chain, a paper loop where each person wrote one good thing they saw a coworker do. It wrapped around the entire 7th floor. Back in the apartment, life settled into a new rhythm. Her mom's first day on the day shift was a mix of nerves and excitement. She wore her navy blouse again, but this time with a name tag that read, Rosa, Customer Support. She came home that evening tired but glowing. "They gave me my own desk," she told Lily over dinner. "With a plant. A real one, not plastic. And my supervisor asked what I needed to succeed. No one's ever asked me that before." Lily beamed. "What did you say?" I said, "Just keep seeing me." As weeks turned into months, the ripple kept spreading. A local news station heard about the story. Not the dramatic version, but the real one. A child's courage, a leader's choice, and a company learning to care. They wanted to do a short feature. Mr. Sterling agreed, but only if Rosa and Lily were part of it. The interview was filmed in the new family lounge. The reporter asked Lily, "What made you go that day?" She thought for a moment. "I just knew my mom was good." And good people shouldn't have to choose between being sick and keeping their job. The segment aired on a quiet Sunday evening. It wasn't flashy. No dramatic music. Just truth told simply. But it resonated. Other companies started calling. Not for investment tips, but for advice. How did you make this work? Mr. Sterling didn't sell a program. He shared principles. Listen first, trust your people, and never assume someone's potential based on their current role. At home, things kept improving. With steady daytime hours and better pay, her mom finally scheduled that dentist appointment she'd put off for years. They bought new shoes for Lily, ones that fit right, not hand-me-downs. And yes, Lily joined the after-school art club. Her first project? A painting of a tall glass building with a small figure walking through the front doors. Umbrella in hand, sunlight breaking through the clouds behind her. One afternoon, while helping her mom sort mail, Lily found an envelope with fancy lettering. Inside was a certificate and a letter. In recognition of extraordinary courage and compassion, Lily is awarded the first ever Heart of Sterling Scholarship, covering full tuition for summer enrichment programs, art classes, and future college expenses. At the bottom was a handwritten note. "Never stop speaking up for others. The world needs more like you." She showed it to her mom, who cried happy tears all over again. But the most beautiful change was the quietest one. Every Friday evening now, her mom didn't come home exhausted and silent. She came home with stories about the elderly client who thanked her for patience, about the new team lunch tradition, about how someone left a note on her desk that said, "You made my terrible day better." "Thank you." And on those nights, as they washed dishes side by side, her mom would hum those old songs again, not because she was lonely, but because she was happy. Meanwhile, in his office, Mr. Sterling kept that small black notebook on his desk. On the first page, he'd written, "Never forget the girl in the rain boots." He hadn't, and because of her, hundreds of others were walking through doors they'd once thought were closed forever, not as cleaners or guards or cooks, but as valued members of a place that finally saw them. The real victory wasn't in the policies or the press. It was in the way a mother could now look her child in the eye and say, "We're going to be okay," and truly believe it. And in the way a little girl who once stood alone in a grand lobby now knew that even the smallest voice, when spoken with love and courage, can echo through an entire world. 5 years had passed since that rainy morning, when a small girl in oversized rain boots walked into a gleaming office building with nothing but a crumpled piece of paper and a promise to keep. The city hadn't changed much. Same tall buildings, same busy streets, but the lives inside them had shifted in ways no one could have predicted. Now 13, Lily stood backstage at the Sterling Innovations annual gala, smoothing the front of her dark green dress. It wasn't fancy, just a simple A-line she'd picked out with her mom at a department store during a rare weekend shopping trip. But it felt special. Not because of how it looked, but because of where she was wearing it, under the soft glow of stage lights, about to speak in front of hundreds of people, including company leaders, city officials, and even a few reporters. Her hands trembled slightly, but not from fear. From purpose. Backstage, someone handed her a glass of water. "You've got this," a stagehand whispered with a kind smile. She nodded, took a slow breath, and glanced through the curtain. Out there in the front row sat her mom, no longer in a cleaning uniform, but in a tailored blazer with a Sterling Innovations pin on her lapel. She'd been promoted twice since that first customer service role. Now she led a team focused on employee experience, helping design programs that made sure no one ever felt invisible again. And beside her, leaning forward with quiet pride, was Mr. Sterling. His hair was a little grayer now, his posture a little less rigid. He no longer carried a tablet everywhere. Instead, he often walked the halls with that same small black notebook, still jotting down ideas. But now many of them came from conversations with employees over coffee in the break room. Lily stepped onto the stage. The spotlight was warm. The room fell silent. She looked out at the sea of faces, not as strangers, but as people who had been part of a quiet revolution. 5 years ago, she began, her voice clear and steady. "I walked into this building because my mom was too sick to come to her job interview. I was 8. I didn't know what to say. I just knew I had to try." She paused, letting the memory settle in the room. "I didn't think anything would change. I just wanted someone to know that my mom mattered, that she worked hard, that she deserved a chance." She looked toward her mom, who was already crying softly, smiling through tears. But something did change. Not because of me, but because someone chose to listen. Someone chose to see the person behind the job title. And that choice didn't just help my family. It helped hundreds of others. She went on to talk about the ROSA program, now a formal initiative that had expanded to include emergency housing support, mental health counseling, and tuition assistance for frontline workers' children. She mentioned Carlos, the security guard who was now studying to be a cybersecurity analyst. She spoke of Maria, who'd started as a cafeteria worker and now managed the company's wellness kitchen. She even shared how the kindness chain had grown so long it now wrapped around 3 floors and inspired similar projects in schools and hospitals across the city. But the real change, Lily said, her voice softening, wasn't in the programs. It was in the way people looked at each other. Before, the night crew ate in a separate room. Now everyone eats together. Before, no one knew the names of the people who cleaned their offices. Now they leave thank you notes on their desks. Before, success meant climbing to the top. Now it means lifting others as you go. She stepped away from the podium slightly, hands clasped in front of her. "I used to think big changes only happened in movies through speeches, protests, or million-dollar donations. But I've learned that real change often starts small, with a cough in the middle of the night, with a child walking 17 blocks in the rain, with a CEO who decided to kneel down and really listen." The room was completely still. "Today I'm the first recipient of the Rosa Martinez Leadership Award," she continued. It's given to a young person who shows courage, compassion, and a commitment to community. I'm honored, but I accept it not just for me, for every kid who's ever worried about their parents' job, their family's health, or whether they'll have enough to eat. You matter. Your voice matters. And sometimes just showing up is enough to start something beautiful. Applause began slowly, then swelled into a standing ovation. Not the polite kind, but the kind that comes from the heart. People wiped their eyes. Some hugged the person next to them. Even the stern-faced board members clapped with genuine warmth. Backstage again, Lily was surrounded by well-wishers, but she only had eyes for two people. Her mom pulled her into a tight hug. "You were amazing," she whispered. "You made your 8-year-old self so proud." Mr. Sterling stood a few steps away, waiting patiently. When it was his turn, he didn't say much. He just placed a hand gently on her shoulder and said, "You've grown into exactly the kind of person this world needs." Later that evening, as the gala wound down, the three of them sat together on a quiet balcony overlooking the city lights. The air was cool, the noise of the party muffled behind glass doors. "I still can't believe how far we've come," her mom said, sipping tea from a delicate cup. "5 years ago, I was lying in bed, too weak to move, wondering how we'd pay for medicine. Now, I helped design the very programs that would have saved us back then." Mr. Sterling nodded. "You didn't just take the opportunity, Rosa. You multiplied it. You made sure it reached others who needed it just as much." Lily looked out at the skyline. "Do you think other companies will do the same?" "Some will," he said. "Not because they saw a news story, but because their own Lily will show up one day. And if they're wise, they'll listen." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the city breathe below them. Then her mom reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope. "I've been saving this," she said, handing it to Lily. "It came last week." Inside was a letter from the city's community college, accepting Lily into their early enrollment art program, fully funded by the scholarship established in her name. The letter ended with, "Your work reminds us that beauty and bravery often go hand in hand." Lily smiled. "I'm going to teach a class next semester," she said quietly, "for kids whose parents work night shifts, so they don't feel alone." Her mom squeezed her hand. "You're already changing the world." Back inside, the gala was ending. Guests were leaving, but the feeling lingered, a sense that something real had happened here, something that couldn't be measured in profits or press releases. In the weeks that followed, life returned to its rhythm, but with new layers of meaning. Lily started her art class, meeting every Saturday morning in a sunlit community center room. Her students were kids like her, quiet, observant, carrying worries too big for their age. She didn't just teach them to draw, she taught them to see, the strength in their parents' hands, the hope in a shared meal, the dignity in showing up. Day after day, her mom continued her work, recently launching a mentorship program pairing frontline employees with executives for monthly coffee chats. No agenda, just conversation. "It's amazing," she told Lily one night, "how much you learn when you stop talking and start listening." And Mr. Sterling, he still ran the company, but his leadership had softened into something deeper. He spent less time in boardrooms and more time in the break room, the loading dock, the night shift lounge. He'd even started a tradition. Every first Friday of the month, he'd clean one floor himself just to remember. One evening, as he walked past the family lounge, he saw Lily sitting at the art table, helping a little boy color a picture of his dad, who worked in maintenance. The boy was shy, barely speaking, but under Lily's gentle guidance, he began to open up. Mr. Sterling watched for a moment, then turned to leave, until Lily called out, "Mr. Sterling, can you come here for a sec?" He walked over. The boy held up his drawing, a tall man in a uniform holding a wrench with a big sun behind him. "That's my dad," he said softly. "It's beautiful," Mr. Sterling said sincerely. Lily smiled. "He's going to give it to him tonight. Says it's for being the strongest person I know." Mr. Sterling crouched down, just like he had 5 years ago, and looked the boy in the eye. "Your dad is lucky to have you." As he walked away, he realized something. The legacy wasn't in the programs or the policies. It was in moments like this, in children who believed their parents mattered, in leaders who remembered their humanity, in a culture where kindness wasn't an exception, but the rule. Years later, long after Lily had graduated, opened her own community art studio, and become a mentor to dozens of kids, People would still talk about that rainy morning, not as a fairy tale, but as a reminder. That change doesn't always come from the top. Sometimes it walks in through the front door, small, soaked, and full of love, and asks simply to be heard. And in that asking, everything can begin again.